What it is, what it do, cyber world. It is your girl, the one, the only Ash Said It. AshSaidIt.com. AshSaidIt.com. Welcome back to another installment of the Ash Said It Daily podcast show. I appreciate everybody that's been supporting the movement, of course, showing mad love and support to your girl all across the globe. I have with me the CEO of Sally B's Skin Yummies, Sally B herself. Hey, Sally.
Hey, Ash, how are you?
I am doing wonderful today, now that I have you on the line.
Oh, that's so nice.
You're such a sweetie. So, Sally B, let everybody know where you're from. What city do you represent?
I'm actually in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm one of the few people that was really born here. So I've lived here except for a few, except for school and some graduate school work out in the Pacific Northwest. I have been in Atlanta my whole life.
Awesome. So let's just jump into it. Sally B's Skin Yummies. Where did the idea for this company come from?
Well, it's kind of not the best story. It's not the story that anybody else wants, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
But I had always been super healthy growing up. I was doing yoga in college, and I'm fairly old. I'm getting up there. So I was doing yoga in the 70s. I was a runner. Very active. Fast forward to the 80s, I had children, and when I was about 37, they discovered a bone tumor in my pelvis, and it was everything you think it's going to be. It was awful. It was weeks and weeks in the hospital and weeks at home in bed. They did get rid of the cancer. But they did leave me with something called lymphedema, which was the worst part of the whole thing. You'll find if you ever have a friend who has breast cancer that there's always a scare of something called lymphedema, because when they remove lymph nodes, they reduce the limb that's affected. They reduce the ability of that limb to drain fluids and to process fluids. And our lymph fluid has bacteria in it. It helps clean our systems. And so when you have a backup of that fluid, you can get infections and you can get swelling. Well, unfortunately, mine was in my leg. So gravity is not my friend, because you can't walk around upside down. So I got this swollen leg, and I would get infections every once in a while. And it really put a hindrance on most everything I did. Now, when you have cancer, you don't pray that, oh, let me run again. And you don't pray, let me do yoga again. You pray, let me watch my kids grow up. Which fortunately I was able to do. So lymphedema seemed like a small thing, but it was a big thing because it changed my life so much. And one of the things I discovered after dealing with it for several years was that inflammation is a really big deal in our bodies. If we don't eat right, if we eat too much sugar, if we don't get enough sleep, if we're exposed to certain things, if we smoke, inflammation builds up in our body, and it can cause illness, it can cause cancer, it can cause a lot of things. In my case, it probably caused me to get more infections than normal, and I didn't have the lymph system to clean out the fluids in my body, so the infections were pretty serious. So I started seeing a nutritionist who got me eating organic foods, who really bumped up the number of greens and things like that I was eating, really kind of cleaned up my act. And I stopped getting infections, and I thought, wow, I'm really onto something. Well, I was making lotion and soap and stuff like that as a hobby. I've always been very crafty, and it was just something that I kind of got onto. I don't even remember the first time I made a piece of soap. It was a real simple thing. It did have artificial fragrance, and of course it smelled great. Right. So anyway, I took some of these things that I had made to this nutritionist for a holiday gift. And she said, this is just great. She said, but why aren't you using organic ingredients? You're doing so well with eating. And I was like, I don't know why I'm not using organic ingredients. I never even thought about it. I didn't think about what we're putting on our skin. And our skin, I know you've all heard this 100 times, is our largest organ. Yeah. So what we put on our skin really does get into our body. And it was the first time that kind of hit home with me. So I went and I started researching. I talked to chemists. I actually worked with a chemist. You may be too young to remember this, but there used to be something called Yahoo Groups, where you could find, if there was something that you were really interested in there, you could find like-minded people, and you could get on these discussion groups via email. Yeah. Well, I got on some Yahoo groups with lotion makers, and a couple of them were run by chemists. And one of these chemists in particular kind of took me under his wing. He would help me. I mean, making lotion and making skincare products, some of the recipes are kind of easy. Some of them are very hard. Mm-hmm. You have to do everything exactly right. You have to get things to temperature. You have to preserve it correctly. There's a lot of things you have to do exactly right. And if you don't do it right, you can end up with a big bowl of cottage cheese or what looks like cottage cheese. Yeah. And so they were really helpful to me, making sure if I made a mistake, I could say, well, what did I do wrong? And he said, well, did you do this and this and this and this? Anyway, and I finally decided in about 2005 that I actually had products that were good enough to sell, and I started a business. I started doing markets, really small things like that, and started a website, started doing things like that, and that's really how I got started. It started out as a hobby. The name Sally B Skin Yummies was, if I had known that I was going to grow to where I am now, I probably wouldn't have picked that name. I'd be something much more sophisticated, like Petal Organics or something.
But it sticks out. It sticks out, and you remember, like, it puts a smile on your face. That Sally B Skin Yummies, like, I feel like a kid again when I say it. So I think you did well. You did well.
Well, thank you. It's a serious business, though. I mean, it really is something that I feel really strongly about now, especially because it's made such a difference in my life and in the lives of my customers. I mean, I have customers that come to me and they've either been sick. They've been diagnosed. I have mothers that come to me that I'm the first person that finds out that they're even pregnant. I find out before their families find out because they find out they're pregnant and they go, oh, I've got to clean up my act. And so they come see us. So it's something I take really seriously, and it's very personal to me too.
Definitely. So let's talk about the different product lines. You guys have from facial stuff to makeups to, like you said, all over, like the shea butters. If you guys haven't already, you need to go to SallyBSkinYummies.com and check out some of the product lines. I went to a media event last week for you guys and was completely blown away. I've never seen just a comprehensive store of just awesomeness. I mean, from all the cleansers to the foaming soap. I was like, oh my gosh, Sally is doing this. She is making it happen.
Yeah, thank you. We really have spent some time on our mission. Our product mission is to create high-quality, non-toxic, and effective alternatives to conventional personal care products. We use the highest concentration of certified organic ingredients possible, and we do a lot to educate consumers. So if you go on our website, we do a lot of blogging. We have blogs about, what to do about this, what to do about that. We talk about different ingredients. We talk about things to avoid. And it's an interesting business because the United States, unfortunately, is behind other countries in terms of what we allow and what we don't allow. The FDA is the governing body of the cosmetic industry, and they call the cosmetic industry a self-regulating arm of the self-regulating industry, which means we're kind of responsible for what we put in our own product. And I take that really seriously, but I know that there are other companies that don't take it as seriously. If you go to the European Union and look and do any research about skincare companies and what they can and can't put in their product, the European Union has banned 1,110 to date chemicals that they do not allow people to put them in products. They label them as hazardous. And there's probably 12 to 13,000 ingredients that you can put in a product. Wow. The United States has banned 8. That's a single number, 8 ingredients. So there are a lot of ingredients that other countries would not let you use that the United States doesn't do anything about. So it does take companies, and most of the companies are not that large. Yeah. They're really not that large because it's kind of a new industry.
Yeah.
But there's a list. You can go to our website and you can see that there's a list of things that we won't ever use. You know, we don't use parabens. We don't use aluminum. We don't use any synthetic fragrance, any artificial fragrance. We don't use nanoparticles. We don't use animal products. I guess we do use a little bit of organic beeswax, so that's as close to an animal product as we ever come.
Right.
We always make sure that it comes from sustainable sources and that the beeswax is organic, which usually means it has to come from New Zealand because there are not very many places that can get that organic certification on honey because bees travel. So you have to make sure that not just your farm is organic, but you have to make sure all the farms around you are organic and don't use any pesticides. So that's kind of a tricky one.
Cool beans. And what about makeup? How did the makeup aspect come into play with you guys?
Well, there are other makeup lines that make powder foundation. A lot of them use an ingredient that we discovered is a byproduct of lead and copper processing. So they can truthfully say that it comes from the earth. They can truthfully say that it's natural, but it's derived from lead and copper. It's called bismuth oxychloride, and you'll see it in some of the big name brands. Fortunately, over the last 3 or 4 years, fewer and fewer people are using it because they've realized that it's not a good ingredient. But when we first started making makeup, we make a mineral foundation. We first started doing that. We had people coming back to us, and they were like, I always broke out when I used makeup, and I had no idea why. Because bismuth is an irritant, not to everybody, because some people can use those big names and never have a problem. But some people can't, and they don't have a clue that that's what made them break out. So we had a lot of early followers that said, "Wow, this is the best makeup because I don't break out anymore." So that was kind of a one flag for us that we were on the right track. And so we're constantly working on how to, what's the next makeup product. Makeup is difficult, though, because the color, because to color our makeups, we use micas, which come from the earth. There is a danger. Some of the micas are pretty safe, but there's also, to color, we use some iron, they're called iron oxides. Now, when you see iron oxides with a product, you shouldn't be alarmed. You shouldn't go, "Oh my God, that sounds awful for my skin." Number one, because you use a really, really, really small amount of it to color. They're very concentrated. But the complication for somebody like me is that those iron oxides really do come from a layer in the earth. And so the next time I need that same color so I can match it exactly, it may not be there. They may have tapped out that layer of dirt. So it's complicated to match color. We do a good job. We really haven't had. I don't think we've had any complaints of somebody saying this isn't the same color. But in house, it's an issue always to try to match our colors using earth derived ingredients.
Definitely.
We also won't use something. You'll see something in red. If you love red lipstick, I hate to tell you that there are very few micas or oxides that have a true red. And so the other natural ingredients that we won't use because we're very animal friendly, we've got the Leaping Bunny certification, which means that none of the ingredients have ever been tested on animals, or animals have never been harmed to do what we do. But there is an ingredient called carmine. That looks like a tame ingredient, but if you understand what carmine is, it's actually ground up bugs. Some people say they're spiders, some people say they're beetles, but just the word bug.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough for me. I'm already sold on the other side.
But that's really the way to get a true red, and so we stay away from carmine.
Yeah. Well, now that you put it that way, Sally.
Yeah, it'd be different if you were putting it somewhere on your body, but you're putting it on your lip.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's one of the most intimate places to put anything, and wow. Yeah.
And also, people just don't realize that some ingredients are hormone disruptors. That was the thing about parabens. The reason that parabens were so widely used is because they actually work. I mean, They're cheap and they work really, really well. We don't use them, never will use them. But I understand why they were so popular because
Yeah.
we've done a lot of research and a lot of trial and error in finding just the right plant-based preservatives for our products. Um, but you could put parabens in something and it could have a shelf life of 4 to 5 years and would never grow anything. But the problem is it's a hormone disruptor.
Mm.
They have found parabens in breast cancer tissues when they took them out and analyzed them. So it's a really good idea to avoid them and stay away from them. And I even think some of the larger companies are pulling back on the use of parabens now.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I definitely would hope so. So, Sally, with all your success and with this amazing brand, which I have to say, if you guys are in the local Atlanta market, if you're in the ATL area, you need to go visit Sally and check out the store and check out the kitchen where all the magic happens. I was so excited. Yeah. It was so exciting to be there. Like, I don't think I've ever really been in an actual, would you say it's like a chemist's kitchen or just where y'all are cooking up goodness?
It is. It really is. We're supposed to call it a lab. I call it a kitchen because it feels like a kitchen to me. But
yeah.
It's a kitchen lab, I guess you could say. But we do love for people to come in and look at it because it's fun I let people smell ingredients and touch ingredients, and they can really see that we're doing what we say we're doing.
Right.
That's the other reason that we like to keep it open.
Definitely. So with all this success, what advice would you offer to any person that may be listening any place on the planet and they're like, hey, I want to make my own organic skincare line as well?
Mm-hmm. There's just a ton of research to do, especially if you're going to use, like there's some things that are easy to do, and I'll tell you that first. Like if you want to make a lotion bar, for example, which is probably my first product, you can melt shea butter and beeswax and some other butters and oils and play around with the consistency. You can probably even find recipes on the internet to make lotion bars. Those are pretty easy to make. When you start using, organic ingredients, if they get more expensive to make, but that's an easy way to kind of get started. If you want to make something more sophisticated, if you want to make a lotion that's not as thick as a shea butter bar, lotions are more complicated. You have to really do your research, and I've seen a few YouTube videos that are pretty good. Not many, because even the do-it-yourselfers, not all of them understand how the alternative preservatives work. But there's certain things that you can add at certain temperatures, certain things you can't add at certain temperatures. But what I recommend is before you can play around and do some DIY things. There's fun recipes online, DIY bath salts and scrubs and you can even do a bath bomb with pretty easily attainable ingredients. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to get any more sophisticated, you really have to make sure you understand what you're doing, because you can hurt people if it's not preserved properly. Mm-hmm. Your skin is a window into your body, and there can be bacteria, there can be mold, there can be yeast growth in certain things, and if you don't preserve them properly, if you don't do it right, they can get into your body. They could get into a little nick or a little cut, and you could get an infection. So you have to be really, really careful. Do your homework. Definitely.
Doing your homework. Sally, do you have any events coming up? Any maybe soap making classes or anything going on with Sally Bees?
We do that occasionally. We've done we've got a garden club event. It's a private event. We got a woman coming to show people how to grow different things at a garden club, and people love to see the kitchen when we do that. But we do have a really extensive mailing list, so that when we do have events, we like to share it with everybody, because I would like to do more DIY classes. I'd like to do more. I like to do a healthy cooking class. I've got some, I have some friends that are chefs that are just really, really talented, and I'd love for them to be able to come in one of them is like an expert on the Vitamix, and she does smoothies and ice creams and stuff like that that are really healthy. The ice cream's green. It's got spinach in it.
Yeah,
it's really good.
but you can't taste it. That's the thing about it. You would never know.
That's right, and you can't taste it.
Awesome sauce. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sally B. I appreciate you beyond words. I will be back because I did get, some samples of some yummy stuff for my skin. And my skin is
good.
loving it. So I don't endorse many people. This lady, you guys, go check out SallyBeatsSkinYummies.com because her stuff is the truth. All right. It is the truth. And I just want to say I appreciate and love everybody that's been supporting my movement, which is ashsaidit.com. That is ashsaidit.com. You can check out more on me, of course, on the blog. And anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do, you look them square in the face and tell them, don't believe me, just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. Because that's what we're doing this for. We're doing this for the history books. Social media is nice, but real life is so much better. I will chat with you guys later. Bye.